So, topic today is Dharma, purposeful living. And Pam was good enough to look up the definition. But there are 23 different definitions of Dharma, 23 different ones. And a lot of times as Westerners, people think, Dharma, oh, do you mean karma? Because we hear about karma all the time. But it's different. Oh, by the way, did you know that there's a new restaurant in Camarillo called the Karma Cafe? It's really interesting. You might want to try it. It's an interesting concept because you sit down and there are no menus. The waiters just bring you whatever you deserve. But right. Okay. So karma is really, karma is cause and effect. You reap what you sow, action and consequences, and it's also the path of action that we've talked about before. Arjuna is a karma yogi. The real difference between karma and dharma is that karma can be exhausted. You can use up your karma. You get it, you use it up, you get rid of it, you transcend it. But your dharma stays with you your whole life. Your dharma sticks to you. Your dharma is your purpose. And it's also your duty. It's something you must do, but you also, you feel it within yourself that this is the right thing to do. This is what you have to do. This is what you are meant to do. And at a certain point in our life, well, there's a few different points in our life, we come to really question ourselves. What is the meaning of life? How do I fit into the big scheme of things? What is my role here? What's it all about? And how do I know what I am supposed to do? And I remember I went through this, several different times in my life because I've had, I think, many different lifetimes in this lifetime, reinventing myself and changing and growing and learning before, I kind of started to figure it out. But one of those points Pam and I were just talking about is when you're choosing to go to college. And these days, I think it's even harder than when we all went to college because it's like you have to know what your major is before you can choose a college because certain colleges are better for certain other majors, right? So then you have to think, what is your major going to be? Well, how do you know? How do you know? And is this such a commitment that you're making? And everybody always asks you, what's your major? Like, is this going to define you? Is this going to set you up for your whole life? This is where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. For some people, it's easier than others. I just had my best friend from high school come over. She lives in Boston, so I don't get to see her very often. And I remember when we were in high school, she knew I've known her since she was like 8 years old. She knew from the very beginning she wanted to be a doctor. She had this little stuffed animal, Snoopy, that was dressed up in scrubs. And she would tell me, I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to be a doctor. She just knew. And when she was in high school, she got herself into this 6-year med program at Northwestern, where in 6 years you get your undergraduate degree and you get your medical degree. She's like a total achiever. She knew what she wanted to do. And I was thinking about Vito. Vito is like born to do music. I don't think there is any other question he was going to do anything else. If you've ever seen him in the studio, you know that making music is like breathing for him. It comes so naturally. He's so brilliant at it, and it's rare to find people that it's a part of who they are. And it's so expansive to have music as your dharma, because like Vito, he's not just a guitar player. He plays so many instruments that we have to call him a multi-instrumentalist because if we started to having to list all the instruments, we'd get lost. So it's allowed him to grow and expand and explore and to learn who he is. Our Dharma is a tool to learn who we are. So I think with little kids, instead of asking these little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? Maybe a better thing to ask them would be, what makes you happy? What do you like to do? What's fun for you? Get them thinking about that. Because your Dharma isn't just a job. It's not just an occupation. It's how you express yourself. It's how you learn about yourself. And there is a Dharma that is common to all of us, no matter what our occupation is, no matter what our job is, no matter where we live, no matter what our religion is. I went to Chicago, not last week, but the week before, for the Parliament of World Religions. This was amazing. It was 10,000 people were there from all over the world. 80 countries were represented. I think every religion was probably represented, because I met so many interesting people, and we had these truly deep, meaningful conversations. Greg and I had a booth there so that we could sell my books and some jewelry we had, our Dharma jewelry, and it would just spark conversations. And, I learned a lot about the Sikh religion and the Jain religion, and everybody was there. Zoroastrian religion. Some religions I had never even heard of, and people were so open and willing to share their beliefs, because we all knew this was a safe space where everybody is so accepting. One lady, I thought it was kind of funny. She came up to the booth and she's admiring all the jewelry, and I said, "Oh, so what religion are you affiliated with?" And she said, "I'm a witch." I said, "Okay, cool." And I asked her, I said, "What's the difference between paganism and Wicca?" Because she said she follows Wicca. And she said, "Oh, Wicca is a form of paganism." I'm like, okay, I never knew that. So that was really cool. So what I find, though, from learning about these different religions is that the truth is, our purpose for all of us is, 1, to learn and grow. 2, to express our uniqueness through our gifts and talents and skills that we learn. And 3, to help each other, to contribute, to have these relationships. This is what we're here on this earth for. Having these relationships and stuff is not something we can do in the heaven realm, because we're all one in the heaven realm. Here, we see ourselves as separate, so we're in this play. We're in this stage show where we're playing roles, and we get to interact with each other and have these conflicts and collaborate and share and grow and learn and do it all over again, with a different cast on a different night. It just keeps going and going and going. So really, I think a lot of people think that our Dharma might be the destination. Where are you going? But the destination for all of us is the same. It's understanding who we are. It's the spiritual growth so that we know truly who we are. And there's a story in Vedanta that's told a lot, where these robbers came to the castle one night and they robbed the king of everything in the castle. They just took all the jewels, they took all the furniture, they took everything. And they kidnapped the baby boy, the young prince. They kidnapped him and they took him away, and they were living in the forest for many, many years. And of course, the king recovered, as kings do, and they went on a search for the little boy, but they could never find him, and they never found the robbers. And then one day, while they were out in the forest, they found the robbers and caught them, and they brought them back to the castle in front of the king for court. And the king's looking at them, and he sees a little boy. And he knows that is his little boy. That is the one. He grew up with these robbers, and now he thinks he's a robber living with robbers. So he pulls the boy aside, and he says, you don't belong with them. You belong with me. You are the prince. You are the crown prince. You are going to be king. All of this kingdom is yours right now. You just don't know who you are. You're the prince. And in that moment, he realized he's not a robber. This is his place. He belongs here. He's at home. He's at home. And it can happen like that in an instant to any of us. Like it happened for Carolyn. She knew she wanted to be a doctor. Like it happened for Vito. He knew he wanted to do music his whole life. But for others of us, we have to struggle and figure it out. You know, how do we get to that place to discover who we are and what we're here for? So the main thing we need to remember is the job is not our purpose. The process is our purpose. The path is our purpose, because the path is where we learn and grow all along the way. Krishna says in the Gita, the greatest secret, this is what we're here for. He says, knowledge of God, nearer than knowing, a vision so clear, direct and flowing, unties the binds from dying and birth. Understand this and be free of this earth. This is the King of secrets, the knowledge most high, only made plain in the mystic's eye. So now we know the secret of life is to know who we are. Krishna told us that. Ernest Holmes tells us that too. He says, we can no more do without spirituality than we can do without food, shelter, or clothing. We need our spirituality. We need that connection with the divine. We have it, we just don't realize it. We need to expand it and feel it and grow it and live it. And that's what I mean by purposeful living, is to put spirituality as a priority, to live life in a spiritual way. Okay. So, is there one path? There are many paths. There are as many different paths as there are people. And we each have our own path. So we should not judge anyone else's path. We're all struggling. We're all trying to get there in some way, shape, or form. And we all eventually will get there. We all will in our own time. Maybe not in this life, maybe in the next. Maybe in the next or the next, you know? But it will happen. But what's different for us is our own uniqueness, our own personalities, our own, the karma that we bring, the past life experience that we bring. That's different for all of us. No two are the same. So we need to know that the analogy is like when you shoot an arrow. The idea is not just to shoot an arrow and get it in the target, right? You can't just do it the first time. Oh, I know I'm supposed to shoot the arrow and hit the target. Here we go. Okay, no. The idea is to grow those muscles so that we strengthen how far back we can pull the bow, how sharply we can focus and concentrate, you know, how still we can get our mind so that our hands are still and the bow is still. And all this takes practice, spiritual practice. And, you know, Vivekananda says there are 4 lanes. And this is in the Bhagavad Gita too. This is in the Upanishads. It recurs. There are 4 major paths on the way to enlightenment. So the first is karma yoga, like we talked about, the path of action. And you can see these 4 paths as it's like 4 lanes on a freeway. And on a freeway, the scenery is the same for everybody. No matter what lane you're in, you're going to see the same scenery. And no matter what path you're on, you're going to learn the same lessons. But you're going to learn them in a different way because you have your own spiritual learning style. So maybe your spiritual learning style is karma yoga, and you're on the path of work and service. And that's how you learn, by helping others. Arjuna was a karma yogi, and he had to fight the war. And it's interesting because I had some criticism at the Parliament of World Religion saying, oh, the Bhagavad Gita, no, I won't read that because it's about a war, and Krishna was God, and he told Arjuna to fight, and that's not right. That's not a spiritual principle. And I said, well, you have to really read it and understand it to know what it's like. And I'm like defending the Bhagavad Gita, and trying to explain the deep principles in here. But clearly this person already has their mind made up, right? So I was talking to another Vedantin about it, and he said, okay, this is what you say when somebody's criticizing the Bhagavad Gita. He said, if Krishna and Arjuna were in a restaurant and Arjuna was the chef, he'd say, Arjuna, cook. He's on a battlefield. He's a warrior. He's saying, Arjuna, fight, because that's his job. Whatever his job was, Arjuna would have said, take action, go, do, Get up off your knees, Arjuna. Do what you're supposed to do. Do what you're meant here to do. So the battle is really a battle within our minds. And we could have that on a battlefield. We could have it in a kitchen. We could have it at our home. We could have it at our office. But Krishna is telling us that we need to take action. So I like to think of karma yoga as it represents the hands, and it's us helping and serving. Okay. And Buddha said, do good and be good. This will take you to freedom. Freedom is freedom from the cycle of birth and death that keeps us coming back and back and back and back to learn these lessons, which takes suffering, unfortunately. So when we get tired of suffering and tired of coming back, we decide, okay, we're going to get enlightened, and I'm going to put my head to this, and this is going to be my goal in this lifetime, is to get enlightened in this very lifetime, to know God, to know who I am. And enough messing around. This is it. Okay, Bhakti Yoga is the second lane. Like if Karma Yoga is the fast lane, then the next one over is Bhakti Yoga. This is like your heart chakra. Bhakti is the path of love. And when Vito and I were talking about songs to pick today, these are the songs that we chose because they're about love. You could very easily be singing these songs to God. That's what bhakti is all about. Telling God, I love you. You are in my heart, in my life. I love you so much. This is how a bhakti responds. This is a bhakti's purpose in life, is to express love. And there are many different ways of doing it. And the best way is loving everyone by seeing the God within them. We're all God in disguise, wearing this meat suit. But when you connect eye to eye, heart to heart, and you recognize that, you're like, this person has that light in them. And it's reflected back at you. The warmth is there because you recognize it in yourself as well. And then there's Jnana Yoga, which is the path of knowledge. And this is for the personality type that loves to learn. They're curious. They love solving puzzles. They love watching mystery shows. They love taking classes. They love experiencing life and traveling. figuring things out. It'd be people like Einstein and Beethoven who just want to, come to these grand conclusions. How does this work? How does this work? Those are the Jnana yogis. And it's all about understanding what is the difference between what is real and what is not real. And the term comes neti neti, not this, not this. So they're constantly in their head thinking about, is this real? Is this real? What is real? What is real in this situation? And now we know that the only real thing is God, spirit, energy, Brahman, any term you want to use for that spark that keeps us alive. And then there is Raja Yoga, which is the path of meditation. And I like to think of these as our eyes. So our eyes are so used to seeing everything outside of us. But when we go in meditation, we close our eyes, and that allows us to see inside of us. Inside, when we're quiet and there are no distractions around, how do we feel? I just learned this little technique. I want you to try it with me right now. Okay, just close your eyes for just 1 second and let all the thoughts pass away. Just be comfortable. Forget about where you are or anything. And think to yourself this: I wonder what my next thought is going to be. Okay, now open your eyes. What was that like? For most of us, what happens is you're going, no thought comes. No thought comes. Wow! How did I do that? I turned off my thinking for just a minute because we were not creating a thought. We were allowing a thought to come. We were waiting for it. That's meditation. You just did that like quick 10-second meditation. If you can stay in that kind of place, just wondering what the next thought's going to be, letting everything else go, we got it. So here we are on the path. We all know we're on the path. What do we need on this journey? We need 3 things. Number 1 is we need purity. Purity of thought, word, and action. We need to do good by being good. And when we think of purity, it's not just our thoughts that we think, it's also our habits. So, are we eating good food? Are we exercising? Are we protecting the body? Because this body is our vehicle in this life. We need this body for as long as it can operate, because that gives us more chances to become enlightened. The longer we live, the more opportunities we have to become enlightened. So we want to take care of the body so that we're not suffering, so that we can allow ourselves to meditate, to serve, to love others, to be in relationship. Okay, the second thing we need is we need a hunger for knowledge. We need to want it. We need to commit to it. We need to make it our priority. I'm going to get enlightened. I am going to know who God is. I am going to know who I am. I'm going to understand it. I'm going to get to the bottom of this once and for all. I'm going to do it, whatever it takes. Reading, going to church, meditating, going to service, taking classes, whatever it takes, I'm there. I'm committed. We need that. We have to want it desperately, desperately. And then the third thing we need is perseverance. Don't give up. Eye on the prize. Don't give up. Practice every day. Like the archer is going to practice every day, pulling his bow. Like the guitar player is going to practice every day, the chords and the scales. You know, like the singer every day is going to sing and get warmed up. We need to practice being spiritual people. Whatever that looks like for you, whether it's sitting under a tree like Buddha, sitting before an altar, you know, cooking for your family with so much love, whatever it is for you, just keep doing it. And inevitably, it's going to happen. And that's it. Okay?